Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Ecto Associations. We're going to be playing with like put a sock, cast a sock. We're going to create like has many associations, belongs to, and many to many. Hope you enjoyed. Let's get to the video. Okay, so let's start the video per se. So let's do a mix pjx-new. Let's create a sample app with binary ID and live view. Okay, so let's seed into our application. Getting it, get dash all, git commit dash sign message, initial commit, and there we go. Okay, so the idea of this project is to work around associations with Ecto. So for this, we are pretty much going to let me do a mix ecto.reset to start the application. And the first thing that we're going to be talking about is like the idea that sellers has products. So there is this association foreign key where all the products belongs to at least one seller. And so let's give it a try. Okay, so if I start the application, right now we don't have the concept of a seller. So if I do mix ecto, actually pjx.jane.context for market, for seller, and the only thing that our seller, the only property that our seller is gonna have is the name property. So if I insert this thing here and go to our migrations, we see that we have like seller, which the only thing that it has is a binary ID, which is the private key, the primary key, and the name. Okay, so if I now do mix ecto.migrate, we should have the sellers in our database. I'm just gonna alias the ex.exs alias sample app.market, because I'll probably gonna restart this thing here, and this will help me. Oops, here. Cool. Okay, so if I do market.create seller, and if I pass like an empty map, it say, hey, name is required, so let's create a seller. The name Eduardo. There we go, we have a seller. Cool. So now let's create the idea of products. Cool. So for this, we are going to generate another context. So mixpjx.jane.context for market, but this time it's going to be products. And the only thing that the product is going to have is like a reference, is a name for the product and a reference to the seller that is the owner of that product. So let's create this product. And if we come back to our migration now, the product one, we see again, we have like a primary key, have a seller, and let's say that the seller ID is not nullable. So null false. There we go. So now we can do again, mix ecto.migrate, and we should have products inside our database. But if we don't specify that the relation inside our schema definitions, we won't see that the seller and the product has a relation between them. So if I do now, just for the sake of example, do market.list sellers, right? You see here that there's no key that says, hey, this guy has any amount of products. For this to happen, we need to do like this in two places. The first one is on the product. So here the seller ID is going to become like a belongs to seller. And now we're gonna have here a seller. And we just need to alias the module, which is sample app dot market dot seller. There we go. Whoops, this is alias. There's nothing here. There we go. For this to be able to, so that we can pass over our cast, we need to add this thing here into our cast function. So let's put here the seller ID. Okay. So remember that we said that on our migration for, I think product is open, migration products, we said that the seller ID can't be new. So if I come here now, do a recompile. I hate when this thing happens. Okay, so let's do this thing one more time. Okay, so if I recompile, so now that I recompiled, if we go to market.create product, again, if pass an empty map, this will say just the name is empty. But if I just put the name, so let's put here, I don't know, Apple, it should throw an error. Say, hey, not new validation. Remember that we created in the migration that the seller ID can't be new. Okay. So in order that we can prevent that our Postgres raise an error, what we can add here is on our product definition, we can say here that the seller ID is required. Okay, so recompile. Let's see if it doesn't get. Okay, it didn't get. So market dot product. And now if we do this thing one more time, you see now, hey, seller ID can't be blank. Instead of raising error, this thing like return error and I change it. Cool. Okay, so the way but this is gonna be entering conflict in something that we're gonna talk about in the future, which is the cast a sock. Pretty much the way that we are going to now create the product is, again, like we're gonna create pass the same app, but now we're gonna pass here the seller ID, and we just need to grab the ID from Eduardo, which was our first seller. So if you pass this guy here and here, there we go, we have a product. And as you can see, if we list now the products, market.list products, we can see now that we have a seller ID, and we can pretty much sample app dot repo dot preload, and if we pass here the seller, it will preload the seller. But if we list the sellers, so list sellers, you see how there's no association between like the seller and the products. So now for this to happen, we just need to do the other way around. In product, we reference the seller. On the seller, now we're gonna say here has many products, which reference product, and we just need to alias the sample app dot market dot product. Okay, and now if we recompile, if this thing, okay, it didn't recompile, but we can do the thing that I just, okay, here, and for seller, there we go. And now if we list again the sellers, there we go. Now we have products associated, and we can do pretty much the same thing as we did just now. So sample app dot repo dot preload, and we can pass here the products. There we go. We have the product associated with it. Okay, so this explains to us like the relation between like a foreign key, which belongs to, and has many of products. Now let's play with the idea of the cast a sock. So let's say we want to create a seller and a product at the same time, and we want to use the cast a sock for that. Okay, so for this work, we need to pretty much come here to the seller, and we are going to have to pass in the attributes params, the one that we pass like normally, like we would pass the name in the seller ID or something like that. We're going to have to put here the cast a sock. This here is normally used whenever you want to create the association that you specified. So here we want to create products, okay? And we need, so if you look at the documentation, normally this tells us first to pass a function that we are going to be creating the association with. So here is we're passing like since we're creating addresses in this example, we're just passing like the address.changeset. So we're gonna pass here the with, and now we're gonna pass here the product.changeset. But remember that I said that we were gonna have some problems with the valid required for the foreign key. By the time we use the operation inside the change set, the seller was not created. So we're gonna receive here that the change set itself is gonna throw us an error saying that the seller ID does not exist. Okay, so let's come back here. Let's recompile the seller, and now let's create another seller. So actually, let's do the market.create seller. And we are gonna pass here again another name. Let's put like name of my brother, so Leonardo. And let's do here products. And for this to work, theoretically, I would just need to pass like a list because it has many, right? Where I just to specify the name. So here would be, I don't know, an apple, so let's go banana. Okay, and if we see here, we have an error saying the seller ID is not found. But man, like we are like nesting the chain set. Of course, that we want that this ID would be this seller's name. So the fix around that, so that we don't have to create another chain set with the required value required, we pretty much like allow the seller ID to be casted, but we ignore it from the value required. And this is something that I really don't like, and that's why I don't use that often the cast a sock. So if we come back here, we compile, let's see, pick it up, didn't pick it up. So let's product, there we go. And if we create the seller one more time, now it worked. You see, we inserted the seller, passed the ID to this product, and now you can see that Leonardo is created, and he has a product. Cool. Okay, and so what's the difference between like the cast a sock and the put a sock? So the cast a sock, as I was just selling, the main purpose is for you to create the association that you are specifying here. So you but what if the product was already created? What if like I wanted to, instead of like putting that the apple belongs to Eduardo, actually belongs to Leonardo as well? How would we do that? So instead of casting a sock, we would then put a sock. Put a sock, and here we would put here the products, and then we would pass here the list. So here it would pass like the TRS, and let's normally the attributes came as a string, so let's put here the list. This would be the products, and that's how we would do it here. Okay, so now if we come back here and recompile, we can actually recompile this seller. There we go. So if I come here to market and I is the products, there we go. Now I have like all the products. So I'm gonna say products is the last call. And we can actually now get Leonardo. So for this, we're gonna do market.list sellers. Leonardo is the last one, so list.last. Okay, there we go. Now we're gonna pass this into the chain set. So sample app dot market dot seller dot chain set. The first argument is the thing 7, the thing that we're gonna be updating. So now we're gonna have here an attribute for products, and you're gonna pass the products. Oh, I need to preload the product. So here, when I found like Leonardo, I'm gonna preload. So sample amp.repo.preload products, and there we go. You see, like here we have like 2 products associated with Leonardo, and now we just need to do the sample app.repo.update. And there we go. Now we see that Leonardo has both the apple and the banana. And if we list all the sellers again and preload market.list sellers, we're gonna see that Eduardo doesn't have any product associated with it. Repo.preload, and here products. There we see Leonardo has now both products, and Eduardo has none. Okay, so we went through like the cast sock and the put a sock, where cast sock creates like another instance, and the put a sock like put the instance as associated with the schema that you were first referencing. Let's talk about many to many. Okay, so for many to many, we are gonna create like a under table for licenses. And the idea is that like a seller could theoretically just sell products if he has the license too. So let's create another context for market and licenses. And the only thing that license is going to have is the name. You see there's no like foreign key for licenses. So let's do that. And let's create like the in-between table. And this is going to be called like sellers licenses. So mix pjx.jane.schema seller. I always forgot. I think it's I always forget the syntax, which is like this. Okay, so there we go. This would be market sellers licenses, sellers licenses. And we are actually, this is just gonna be referencing like both tables. So this is gonna be a seller ID that references sellers, and this is gonna be a license ID references licenses. There we go. Okay, so let's go see our migrations. Sellers know the licenses. Okay. We could now, I just want to remove the primary key. So remove the primary key. I'm going to create a unique index for sellers, where what is unique is the pair seller ID and license ID. Have timestamps, there we go. So now I can go here to license. I think this is good. And seller licenses, the primary key false. We need to cast here the seller. Oh my god, seller ID and the license ID. Both are required, if I'm not mistaken. And here, instead of seller, it's gonna do the same thing as it did again. So belongs to seller, belongs to license. We can here alias the sample app dot market dot the seller, and now the license. Okay, seller, oops, license. There we go. And now the association between the license and the seller is many. Has many, oops, product, many, to many. Has a bunch of licenses. I always forget the syntax. I have it here. Okay, so license. So join through the seller's licenses, which we need to alias here. So sample app dot market the seller licenses. There we go. And here is the only place pretty much if you need to update, we're going to delete the previous station and put the new one that we added. Cool. Okay, and now we can do the same thing here, but for licenses. So many to many, but now we have here sellers. This is a seller. Join through the same thing. And there we go. But here we need to alias the sample app dot market dot seller and the seller licenses. Cool. I think we're good. So if I recompile, what was thing? Compatible types. Maybe I did something wrong. Let me actually start this once again to see if it shows the same error. Okay, looks like we're good. And if I now create a license, so let's do market dot create license, And if I do pass an empty map, it doesn't work. So let's say that the fruits. So there's a license for selling fruits. Define a table. Oh, I think I forgot to migrate mix ecto migrate. There we go. So if I try this one more time, okay, we create our licenses, and you see that there's no seller associated with it. So the way we can do this thing here, we can pretty much like update the let's update Leonardo, the user that we had before. So if again do list actually market.list sellers list.last. So this is Leonardo. Okay, I have Leonardo, and now we can actually same thing for licenses. List licenses dot first, and we can here this is fruits license. Okay. So what we can do now is if we get like the sample app dot seller market dot seller change set we pass here Leonardo and we pass here an empty map. You see that we gotta always preload this guy here. So actually I'm gonna say that Leonardo receives Leonardo sample app dot repo dot preload. I think we're gonna face an issue here because there is no attributes dot attribute preload products. Okay, so now if we do this thing here, invalid issues. Okay, the thing is actually we didn't pass the. So here for sellers, like there's no key attribute for products. So what we can actually do, fp put sock products where I have here the change set, and we have here the ATRS. So if the ATRS contains the key products, and this points to some products where this is the ATTRS, and then we are gonna do the put a sock change set products products. Otherwise, we're just gonna do we're just gonna be passing the change set. Okay, so this here find a, we don't care, it's not a function, that's over there. And instead of put a sock, now we're gonna do put a sock products, and we just need to pass here the ATTRS. And I think we should be in a good shape. So if I do this thing one more time, recompile market seller, and now we do this. There we go. Okay, nothing has changed. So we have like a change set, but now we can do the. So in this scenario, we don't want to create more license. We just associate a license with like the user. So what we can do here is the thing that we did before. So we can do ecto.changeset dot put a sock, where here we're gonna have the association. The name of association is licenses. Did I actually add licenses? Did I did. It's here. Okay, so licenses. Okay. If you're correct, put association licenses, and here we need to pass like an array. Remember, because this is as many associations as we want. And remember that I think we added that the fruits license. Did I actually add the fruit license? I think I did, right? I don't recall if I did. Anyhow, if I pass like empty string, like the Because okay, we need to preload the thing. So, but before, let me just check fruits license. Oh, I have here. Okay. So again, Leonardo is gonna receive Leonardo, but we're gonna products and licenses. Uh, Command does not exist. So if I come here, license, I never alias the license. So let's come back here now, alias the license. And if we come back here and recompile the seller and preload it, there we go. And now we can license here. We can see that it worked. Now we can pass licenses. I can pass now the fruits license, and you see that we have a change in our chain set. So if I do the same thing now and do sample app.repo.update, ta-da, it worked. So now we have here Leonardo. Leonardo has all the same products, but now he has an associated license. And if we list all the licenses, so again, market dot list license, you see that like no other license was created, but now on the table in between, we can see the license. And for us to that, we can do sample app dot repo dot all, and we can list the table in between, which is this guy here. You see now there's like association created that was created between the seller ID, which is Leonardo, association ID, and the license ID, which you can see that ends up in D11. Well, this is like how you would work with put a sock and put a sock and cast a sock. Like in reality, normally like I don't use a lot of these active functions on day to day. Normally, I prefer to work with transactions over a multi-step where I can validate and like know where the entire transaction worked. Because let's say in the scenario, like I just want to update the user if like all the licenses like were real. Normally, like whenever we are receiving this thing from the front end, if you're working as a backend engineer, you're not going to be receiving the entire structure. So you're going to be probably receiving just like a list of binary IDs or IDs for the associated license. So you got to like pretty much verify, hey, are all these IDs valid or not? And then you can create like a bunch of steps to validate and ensure that all the integrity of data is correct. But yeah, this is going to go for another video. So I hope you have enjoyed and thanks for watching. Till next time. Bye.